Okay, I'm going to show you how to use certificate posture check with pre-Windows Logon to ensure a device is properly managed using machine certificates to control access to the IDP, and then you can use that with your conditional access policy. So what I've done here is I've created an application segment called Microsoft, and it includes the login microsoftonline.com URL, so that includes the certificate authentication plus the user authentication and the CDN URLs that Microsoft redirects to. And then in my policy, my access policy, I've got a rule that says to be able to access Microsoft, that authentication, you have to have a certificate posture check enabled. Otherwise, you can't get to those Microsoft URLs. And so what this certificate posture check looks like, if we come across to here, administration, device posture, my certificate posture check here says you must have a client certificate. We're going to check it every 2 minutes, and we're going to apply it to the machine tunnel as well. And we're looking specifically for a non-exportable private key, and the certificate must have a certificate template information added in it, and it's got this long OID. And the certificate must be signed by my root CA. So it's something that's controlled entirely by me or by my organization. For this certificate posture check to work, what we're actually going to do is the cloud is going to do a server-side posture check. So it'll send a nonce down to the client. The client will sign it with the private key and send the response back to the cloud. So it's a server-side check rather than a client-side check. Because it's applying to machine tunnels, we've also got our machine tunnels configured. We've got machine tunnels configured here, and then authentication devices, machine groups. We've got our machine tunnels that apply for pre-Windows Logon. And we can see that in the mobile portal. When we look here, we can see the device desktop 5UQ7SLP is enabled for a machine tunnel. So I come across to my remote desktop. I'm coming in via VMware here. If I look at Client Connector isn't signed in at the moment. And I'll take you to the pre-logon screen in a second. So Client Connector isn't signed in, but if I ping login.microsoftonline.com, you can see it's coming up with the synthetic IP address. And if I run a curl https login.microsoftonline.com, we'll get a failure because the posture check isn't able to succeed. And if we look here, we can see I've got certificates. I've got certificates installed for enrollment, and I've got my root certificates, but I don't have that device certificate on the machine. And so if I right-click here, say all tasks, I want to request a new certificate, and I'm going to request this certificate from my certificate server, custom certificate here, and that's enrolled. We can see the certificate here, and it's got the details on it, and we can see the certificate template information. It's got that OID information there. Certificate posture check, as we saw, it runs every 2 minutes. But what I can do is I can restart the net adapter. We'll see the client connector will redo a posture check when it sees a material change on the network. And so if I then do that curl, we see that it succeeds. Okay, so client connector is still not logged in user mode. So if I go ahead and let's sign out of this session now with this user. We can go to Zscaler Diagnostics, and we can see that the machine tunnel is up here. It's logged in as that desktop machine, so that's all fine. just proving the machine tunnel's there. So if I now go to log in here, the machine tunnel is working to enable the connectivity to Entra. Entra will now be allowed to sign in, so my client connector will now attempt to do the user authentication, and it's going through that machine tunnel to get to Entra, and that will result in client connector, client connector now logged in a user mode. And all of that authentication that happened just then was to Entra. So if I then come across back to my analytics here, and we go to diagnostics, obviously there's a load of stuff here going on for my domain, but what we saw, let's just check the time, 11:44, and these are sessions that have gone on previously. There we go. So this is the session that was the when we logged in, the machine tunnel authenticating, 11:43:56, and then we see we did all of the authentication here in the machine tunnel, and then after the machine tunnel succeeded, my user tunnel took over to allow the actual user to authenticate and pass through. And if we come back to my machine here, we run ds reg cmd status, we can see that all of the posture checks then happened, and we've got the primary refresh token. So all of the Entra functionality then worked through that combination of machine tunnel and user tunnel. And then what that means is I can put in my conditional access policy into Entra to say, okay, well, the only time you can connect to Entra is if you're coming from a location, for example, which is your source IP address of the app connector, that's giving that machine tunnel the ability to pass that traffic through. Hope that's useful. Mark at Zscaler.com.